This is Take 5 with Bentley Nevada. In the studio again with us today is Steve Gaskell. Steve is the principal for product security at Bentley Nevada, and he really is maintaining kind of a 30,000 foot view of the whole portfolio and the security. He's, like a lot of people in the business, kind of an all hands on deck moment for Orbit 60 and get that product launched and certified in all the various ways that it needs to be. Steve, where do you think the business is going next? You talked a little bit about all new products are going to have to be cyber secure by design, but as you kind of anticipate this time when Orbit 60 is fully certified, fully released, and considered more of a mature product, where do you see the company focusing efforts moving forward here?
Certainly there'll be continued emphasis on hardware design and secure design on products that evolve and spawn from the Orbit 60 design. But I think the big area for the company next is cloud-based services, whether that's Bentley Host, where we're running System 1 in the cloud and securely transferring 3500 data today, Orbit 60 obviously here shortly, across the internet to a cloud-based hosted service that we manage for customers. So they don't need to learn how to install System 1. They don't have to maintain servers.
Right.
They just get a remote access portal into the data visualization in the cloud.
Right.
And so, again, I think it's adding convenience for customers. It's easier for them to manage. But usually whenever you say convenient, security takes the opposite direction.
Yeah.
So it's balancing convenience and security as two different parameters.
You know, as I look at how the world has changed, those of us that might have a little gray around the temples, we remember getting a box with a disk, maybe even a floppy disk.
Yes.
And then
I
a
certainly
CD,
remember those, yes.
and then maybe a USB stick. And now it's like the idea of software that you buy and own outright is almost an antiquated notion. It's really software as a service or as a subscription.
Yes.
And from a customer convenience standpoint, it doesn't get much easier than just saying, you know, pay me your monthly amount and we'll take care of the rest. When you're going to hand the keys of the kingdom to somebody and say, you know, give me your data, trust me, security has got to be a big issue.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I was thinking back to, you know, how did it all evolve? And if you think back to the early systems, the instrumentation engineer would have to walk to the plant and go take a reading of
That's pretty
device.
secure.
It was secure, but it wasn't convenient.
Yeah, right.
So now they wanted instrumentation and they could remotely access it from the office. And of course, now there was remote working in those days as well as it crept in. People would like, hey, can I just log in at night and take a look? So now we're adding, again, more convenience. But each time we add that convenience, we've got more security concerns to consider. And so we're seeing that same evolvement now, you know, with the cloud infrastructure. We're managing customers' data. We've got to protect it. So we've added really the best levels of convenience for the customer and put the burden of security on us. So
the convenience factor, almost even this privacy factor, I don't know how much that comes into play, but you know, there's some things that a plant says, I don't need other people knowing what's going on here. But the cloud-based stuff, I mean, I would think that's a huge area of growth for the business, for people that don't want to invest in their own infrastructure.
It's a skill, right? Setting up a server on site and maintaining it. And if customers are losing that in-house skills, being able to get someone like Bentley Nevada to provide that service for them while still providing the interface for the vibration data that they need to access.
Well, I mean, even the idea of an on-prem server is becoming kind of antiquated, this idea that I'll just spin something up on Amazon and I'll configure it with as many cores as I want and as much RAM as I want. It's pretty amazing, right, what's out there today.
It is, but there's a balance too, right? I mean, if the whole internet goes down for an outage, say for a day, they lose visibility to all the data.
Yeah.
There's sometimes still that advantage of having the on-site server as well. So it's a balance for the customer. They've got to determine their risk profile and risk appetite, and can they live with a data gap or a data loss for a certain amount of time.
But I think for suppliers like Bentley Nevada, you have to kind of have a portfolio. Okay, if you have a high risk appetite, you can have an on-prem. If you have low risk or moderate risk, just means the company needs to have a really broad skill set, and cybersecurity applies to every one of those.
It's an exciting time.
Yeah, it is. I can see that you're not worried about lack of things to keep working on.
No, not at all. No, I have a long backlog of things to do.
Well, Steve, it's been a pleasure to have you with us for this series of episodes, talk about cybersecurity. I hope we can have you back at some point in the future.
Absolutely. I've enjoyed it.
Okay, well, thank you. You've been listening to Take 5 with Bentley Nevada, the Baker Hughes Business. We'll see you next time.